After an unfortunate space mining accident, a man floats in a ship toward the sun in super speed. But the journey proves to be more dangerous than he could imagine, as Commander Roberts does her best to save him. A group of astronauts, Holloway, Milton, and Lieutenant Harris, are on a mission for the Orbis Mining Corporation on Aten 2024 Decry. The astronauts have constant communication with Hathor 18, flown by Commander Serizawa, which is another ship in space. However, during their mission, the lieutenant reads some seismic fluctuations. As he asks Milton and Holloway to cease all operations, a space mining accident happens, and Milton and the lieutenant are killed. Holloway is the only remaining survivor, and he escapes the ship to aboard the EEV Capera 2 with Milton's corpse. He awakens after a while, remembering the accident, and tries to contact Hathor 18. He also notices that he has suffered a concussion during the accident. At first, he's unable to contact them, and the EEV's beacon is down. However, he also notices that the personal locator beacon, or PLB, on his stat band is operational. Suddenly, he is able to contact Hathor 18. However, the communication is very weak. Despite this, he is able to understand that the new pilot of Hathor 18 is Commander Roberts. Holloway tells Roberts about the accident, telling here that there was an outflow of steam back on the site, and the drill anchors exposed a pocket on the asteroid. This led to an explosion, which blasted open the hull. He explains that the ship is barely functional now, with the propulsion and the ACS not operational. He explains that he is okay, and that the rest of the crew has been killed. Robert asks Holloway for the visuals in front of the ship. She asks him for the coordinates, but he explains that EEV's beacon is down, but his stat band PLB is active. However, Commander Roberts is still unable to get coordinates to locate Holloway. After a while, Roberts detects the location of Holloway through this PLB. He connects the PLB to the EEV beacon. As she tries to find his exact location through triangulation, Holloway notices a bright orange light through the window. He has a suspicion that he is floating toward the sun as the light gets stronger. When Roberts is able to contact Holloway again, he becomes frustrated, and he demands to speak to the Commander Serizawa. However, he is informed that Roberts is the commander for the moment. Roberts asks for his medical diagnosis, but he is short with her, telling her that his stat band is not fully functional. Annoyed at his anger, she tells him to give her his self-examination. Reluctantly, he confesses to her that he has a concussion. To make sure the concussion isn't terrible, she asks him a series of questions, such as his name and the company name. With each question, he argues with her, increasingly frustrated. However, he tells her about his position in the company, that as a prospector and engineering technician. He also repeats his mission to her, which was maintenance control and general purpose engineer on Aten 2024 DC. After the questions, he asks Roberts if it is possible for him to contact Control. However, Roberts tells him that they have temporarily lost contact with Control. She explains to him that the ship was bombarded with shrapnel after his departure, and the relay transmitter had taken serious damage. This was currently being fixed by their technical assistant and Commander Serizawa. After some time, Roberts informs Holloway that she has successfully triangulated his location. She tells him that he is floating toward the sun due to his rapid departure from the DC. He confesses that he knew, since he can see the sun, from the window of the EEV. Roberts also informs Holloway of the damaged parts of the EEV, such as the propulsion systems, ACS, rotation control, and the cabin temp control is inactive, with a malfunction in the coolant chamber. The temp of the ship is considered very low, and Roberts fears Holloway having hypothermia in the ship. However, despite the damages, she tells him that the coolant can be switched off, giving him a chance to survive. Commander Roberts informs Holloway that there is a chance of direct sun exposure, leading to a burn-up rate in 70 minutes. She tells him that there is a radiation leak on the ship as well, so he may be exposed to radiation. Holloway is told that Hathor 18 is coming to rescue him in 75 minutes. However, he tells her that the ship has no airlock, and the propulsion and thruster systems are down. Despite this, Commander Roberts tells him that they are coming to collect him, and the pressure inside the EEV will help force him out into the Hathor 18. Overwhelmed with the former circumstances, Holloway admits he didn't know what to do. but Roberts advises him to move on from what happened. Holloway asks if a call home is possible through a feed linked to the Capera. He is told that it is possible. Holloway also asks if Control knew of the risks, but becomes angry when he realizes they knew and still had the mission proceed. As he's speaking to Roberts, he hears a beeping sound coming from his stat band, informing him that he is in the early stages of hypothermia. Roberts advises him to switch the coolant off, but he disagrees, saying he would rather freeze than burn. Thinking quickly, he decides to put on the evac suit on the ship to stay warm. However, Roberts informs him that the suit only has 15 minutes of oxygen, as it is not a mission-operative suit. Despite his disagreement, Roberts manages to convince Holloway to shut off the coolant. As he notices cracks begin to appear on the window due to the extremes in temperature, he panics and goes to shut off the coolant. While he enters the coolant chamber to reach the coolant valve, he loses contact with the commander. While he's trying to turn off the coolant, the ship malfunctions, and he is pierced in his ribcage by shrapnel. The valve causes serious injuries to his hand due to the cold. However, he is successful in turning off the coolant. Making his way back to his seat, Holloway tells Roberts that he is still alive. She asks him to deal with his wounds while he is still cold, so he would not feel it. However, he tries to convince Commander Roberts to let him speak to Commander Serizawa. When she denies, he pulls the piece of shrapnel out of his ribcage, exclaiming in agony. When Roberts asks him to cauterize the wound, he remembers Milton has prototypes. However, Roberts tells him those are the prototypes sent for maintenance. Looking through Miller's jacket, he finds a picture of his family. Eventually, Holloway is able to find a lighter in Milton's belongings, and he heats up a piece of shrapnel. As he plunges it inside his wound, he screams in pain and becomes unconscious. Waking up, he speaks to Roberts again, who reprimands him for cutting contact with her. He asks for Serizawa again, but learns that Commander Serizawa is dead. The damage from the shrapnel cluster was large, and the life support conduits needed fixing. However, Commander Serizawa's suit had been damaged, and he had drowned in his suit. Holloway's ship is suddenly impacted by debris, cracking the window further, and the ship begins to malfunction. The ship begins spinning around really fast, causing Holloway to panic. As the ship spins, Holloway asks Roberts and the rest of the crew to turn back. He doesn't want them to die as well. Despite his persistence, Roberts tells him she's not giving up on saving him. With the ship still spinning fast, Holloway leaves his seat to grab a nearby vent, which he uses to move around the ship. He tries to open the hatch of the ship. However, Roberts convinces him not to open it, asking him to let her save him. With a large rock in space crashing into the ship is suddenly stabilized and stops spinning. Holloway asks Roberts for his stats and is told that the rising temperature will increase in the next few minutes, but he will have 15 minutes of oxygen in his suit, as well as 15 backup minutes. Roberts asks him to endure the heat as long as he can. As he watches the cracks on the window increase, he tells Roberts that he wants to speak to a loved one, but will do it himself instead of a recorded message. Roberts tells Holloway that she never wanted to be in the mining corp, but had gone after her father, who had had his contract terminated due to a fall. She had joined just for her father's happiness. When Roberts asks Holloway to tell her something about himself, he jokes that he's thinking of early retirement due to the mission. However, later he admits that he wants to tell his loved one that he is sorry. Just as he's about to tell Roberts of his son, the ship's pressure begins decreasing. Holloway puts on his spacesuit, and the ship begins spinning uncontrollably. As the ship gains stability, he reaches out to Commander Roberts, who tells him it was another shrapnel cluster. When Holloway tells Roberts that the spacesuit is on, she tells him the recent attack caused the ship to become completely depressurized. She suggests a spacewalk to fix the damage, but worries about there being no tether. Once again, Holloway asks Roberts and the remaining crew to turn back. Roberts then admits to him that she has strict orders from Control to rescue at least one person from Aten 2024 DC. Roberts tells him that if he dies, the company Orbis would be shut down, but if he was alive, it would be a 7-year hiatus and a full investigation at best. Holloway tells Roberts, as the ship moves closer to the sun, that he's dead anyway. However, Roberts refuses to turn back before saving him. A while later, Holloway tells Roberts that his son was making something, inventions of different kinds. But rather than be there for his son, he had chosen to run away. Roberts shares the story of her deceased daughter and how her husband had left her. She cries as she remembers how she would have liked his support rather than his apologies. As the sun comes closer, Holloway begins losing consciousness. He decides to use Milton's prototypes to fix the outside of the ship. Roberts tries to talk him out of it, but Holloway is insistent. Holloway waits for Roberts to give him a countdown and leaves the ship. With the new prototypes, he attempts to fix the ship. He struggles, but manages to fix the outside of the ship. As his oxygen levels deplete, the heat of the sun begins to impact him, and he is asked to get out of there. As Holloway begins losing consciousness, he is able to enter back into the ship. He connects a pipe into the suit, but the connection is initially not detected. Suddenly, the connection happens, and he is given oxygen inside his suit. With his consciousness restored, he shuts the ship again. The ship is very close to the sun by this point, and Holloway asks Roberts once again to turn back, to save herself. Roberts says that she's very close to him, and she will save him. He asks her to form the connection between control and home, and she obliges. As Roberts approaches, Holloway asks her to come to the front of the ship so he can come through the cracked window. As his oxygen levels deplete again, he thanks Roberts for her help in saving him. The connection between control and home is made, and Troy is able to speak to his wife, Liz. However, he is unable to say anything due to his impending loss of consciousness. Holloway moves toward the cracked window and tells Liz that he's going home. Holloway waits for the window to shatter and readies himself as it does, knowing that he will be rescued and go home to Liz and his son. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.